Hi, Erin and Martha. Thanks for joining me today. And today we're gonna share our learning experience, our language learning experience with each other. So, how about we introduce ourselves in the languages that, in the foreign languages that we learn to speak, or all the languages? Do you want to start?
大家好，我叫阿龙，我22岁，ici à Lancaster, j'étudie le français, l'espagnol et le chinois. Y de hecho me gusta mucho estudiar todas las lenguas posibles. So I just said that my name's Aaron, I'm 22, and I study French, Spanish, and Chinese here at Lancaster.
大家好，我也是打水水上，跟阿龙一样，我学习汉语和法语，我觉得中文比较难，因为写汉字跟写英文很不一样。J'étudie aussi le français comme avant. C'est la langue que j'étudie depuis presque 10 ans, je crois. Donc, je me sens assez confortable en français. J'aime bien lire les livres ou regarder des films en français. Yeah, I'm like Aaron. I'm studying French and Chinese. I find Chinese a lot harder than French because writing characters is quite difficult, and the grammar is also unlike other languages we studied. But yeah, I'm enjoying them both.
Yeah, thank you very much. I guess it's my turn. 大家好，我叫周林霞，我是兰卡斯特大学语言文化学院的中文讲师，很高兴能在这里跟大家分享我们学习外语的经历。はじめまして、私はシュリンカです。中国から来ました。今はランカスト大学で中国語の講師をしています。どうぞよろしくお願いします。So I just introduced myself first in Chinese and then in Japanese. I said, my name is Johnson Lingxia Zhou, and I'm a Chinese lecturer at Lancaster University. It's very nice to talk to you here. Okay, so 玛莎和阿龙可以问问你们为什么学习了法语、西班牙语还有中文吗？ So why did you choose to study the languages you did?
Well, I originally came to Lancaster to study linguistics and Chinese. I knew I wanted to do Chinese because I really liked the artistic side of the characters and the way that Chinese calligraphy sort of combines language and art. So I really wanted to be able to understand that better. But then in my second year, I realized I wasn't enjoying linguistics very much, and what I really enjoyed was learning languages. So I changed linguistics to French because we studied it in primary school. So I've been doing it for a while and wanted to continue. Yeah.
Much like Martha, I came to Lancaster to study, well, in the same way that we changed courses. I came to Lancaster to study physics, and then after a year, I realized that actually it was a bit not what I was expecting. So I switched to my other A-level subjects, and I really enjoy all the things you can do with languages. They really cover all the bases: your history, your art or culture. There's not very much you can't do in a different language, which I think is a lot more interesting, a lot more varied than what I was doing studying physics.
Yeah, that's great. I guess at Lancaster we do have the flexibility that which allows students to try new things their first year and then switch to the ones they really enjoy. Okay, so what it is like to study languages at Lancaster University?
I think it's quite a good one. I haven't really talked to anyone else in other universities, but I do like the approach. There's especially in first year, there was sort of a recap and a sort of an attempt to make sure that everyone had all the grammar basics down and that we were all vaguely on the same level. And then I think as we've progressed throughout the years, it's definitely not just been the same repetition. There's been adjustments, and even if sometimes you suggest that something isn't working, the department's more than happy to accommodate that. And it's definitely not. The department also makes an effort to sort of keep abreast with the times and the trends that are happening. So it's not you're studying very much contemporary topics and events.
Yeah, like you're saying, as the course progresses, you definitely have the chance to build on the skills you previously learnt. So, for example, with French this year, we've done translation instead of grammar. So obviously you're using your grammar skills, but in a different way and learning a new skill. And also, as you've been saying, the combination of cultures and languages, so they're never separated. There's quite a variety of culture modules to choose from, which is nice. So you can sort of tailor your degree to your interests, but still keep it aligned with your language learning.
Great. So what's a typical day like as a university student?
I would have said, ironically, I think today has been rather quite a typical day. So I think by the time I was awake and sorted and I'd had breakfast and everything, it was about 9 o'clock. And I think I watched a video about Henan province in China. That was quite interesting, actually. And then it usually consists of either doing the preparation work for seminars that day, or maybe the ones in the next couple of days. So Joel has given us a presentation to do on Chinese grammar for Wednesday. So I was doing that this morning. And then on Mondays, I usually have seminars from 12 till about 2 or 3 o'clock. So I need to know what I'm doing, what I'm talking about. And then afterwards, I usually do some more work, maybe watch, if it's a Monday night, University Challenge.
Yeah.
Just try not to overload my day, but make sure I get a couple of things done.
Yeah, and also depending on the day, there's different events happening. So, for example, tomorrow we've got Chinese lunch club, so I'll be having an hour of Chinese conversation, hopefully, with our speaking teacher. And then on Thursday, it's the same thing for French. And also this Thursday is the international karaoke, so we'll be going along to that. We've got a couple of songs planned.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing your singing. Yeah. Oh, you've both done studying abroad, right? That happened in your third year. At Lancaster, we call it international placement year, where you can study or work in the country, in the target language country. Could you tell me a little bit about your study abroad experience?
So we did quite different things. Because my major is French, I had to spend the whole year in France or a French-speaking place. So I went to Corsica and I was an English language assistant. So that meant I was teaching English to primary school students for 12 hours a week, which was nice because it left me quite a lot of time to sort of explore the area and go along to different clubs and things and find different ways to practice French. And it was a lot of fun. It was nice to be in a different part of the world and sort of have the freedom and independence to just explore that on your own, but also make money. I enjoy
That's important too.
Yeah.
And then because my major is, my two major languages are French and Spanish, I had to split the year. So I ended up going to Rennes, which is in the northwest of France, and I studied there for 6 months, which was nice in that it was very familiar, and also being a sort of university student, you get to know a lot of people your own age, and you get exposed to sort of university and academic level French, which afterwards is nice to know that you could understand. But you know, it's always a challenge being in a different place. But that was good. And then to change things up a bit, I went to go and work in, well, it was more volunteering in Mexico in an archive. So I was spending my days reading articles and classifying them and helping odd bits and sorting out their library, stuff like that. And that gave me a lot of nice flexible time, especially around not having to take work home with you, or, you know, at least with studying, you have to keep going after your day's done, the weekend's over. So I do think working does give you that flexibility to explore the places and the language a lot.
And also
more relaxed.
Speak the language in a different context, because obviously
definitely.
when you're learning at university, you're speaking with your teachers or your classmates, but it's completely different when you're in a workplace and you have to communicate with different people about different things.
Talk about your daily life instead of immigration or politics.
Yeah, learning to do small talk in a foreign language.
Yeah. That's very nice. It reminded me of my studying abroad in America, Japan, and here in the UK. Yeah, lots of fun, excitement, but you also deal with uncertainties, you know. And even though, you know, both the US and UK are English-speaking countries, they are very different. Yeah. Okay, so what's a situation where your language skills have been useful?
This is actually related to my IPY and Chinese. So it's a nice sort of coalition of different things from this video. So I remember we were sat in the kitchen in our sort of dorm complex, and because there's a lot of people to one kitchen, usually in French student accommodation, I think some Chinese students had recently moved in, and they were checking out the kitchen. Unbeknownst to them, I was also sat in the kitchen with a couple of French friends, and it's always difficult trying to make that first sort of contact with people. So I think everyone was very curious, because it's like, oh, is she living on our floor? Is she lost? Is she asking for questions? I don't know. And I think she hadn't practiced French for a while, or at least she said so later. So when somebody asked her where she's from, and she said China, so I started speaking Chinese to her, and I think she felt relieved to at least have somebody who she could talk to in sort of a vaguely comfortable setting. It also helped that she spoke English as well. So even if I couldn't talk to her in Chinese or French, I still had one thing to fall back on. So I think that was a nice confirmation that I could use Chinese to a relatively useful degree.
Yeah, I've had similar situations to that. We sort of bump into somebody, and just being able to speak their language is really helpful in making that connection. Less directly. Third year, I did a project about Chinese film. So I was working with the UK-China Film Collab, and I did some research into British journalism covering Chinese films. So yeah, having some Chinese language skills definitely helped with that. Being able to talk to people a little bit, or just overcome that boundary was really helpful.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, thank you for sharing all those with us. And do you have any questions for me?
Yes. So why did you specifically choose English and Japanese to study?
Oh, actually, for English, I study English because it was compulsory in schools, but I end up loving it, and my English skills basically enabled me to study and live, in the US and here in the UK. And I studied Japanese because I'm very interested in Japanese manga and the films and TV dramas. Also, it's a country that's close to China, so I'm also very curious about our neighbors. So I studied Japanese as well, and I lived in Japan for a few years. Yeah.
And do you have any examples of where your language skills have been useful?
Yes, actually, once I was traveling in South Korea, and we had to change our plan, and we had to tell our taxi driver. But unfortunately, so the taxi driver didn't speak English, and we didn't speak Korean. But it turned out we are all we can speak Japanese. So we managed to communicate without any problems. Yeah.
That's good.
I do like it when it's sort of spontaneous situations where none of you have a certain grasp on everything. So
yeah.
Language and
yeah.
but,
Yeah.
And then perhaps something more to do with your research on language policy. So if only one language were to be taught in UK schools, what would you suggest?
After very careful consideration, I would say Chinese. Because I think, Chinese, to start with, is a beautiful language. And also it's just so different from the European languages. All languages are beautiful and important. But I think learning Chinese can give you a very different, perspective to look at the world. Because, languages and cultures are very closely linked. And on top of that, Chinese characters, they are so unique. Actually, some researchers found out that learning or being able to read and write Chinese characters can help with your cognitive development. So I strongly recommend Chinese. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so thank you very much. I really enjoyed our conversation. I hope you'll continue to learn the languages and learn more languages in the future. Now, how about we say goodbye in different languages? 再见 and sayonara.
再见
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Y adios.
Yes.
What language is it?
I don't know.
Bye.
Bye.